Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Pink Shot DJs podcast. We have an emergency episode right now. One of the biggest trades that we've seen in a long time just happened. And another trade happened. Denny, what the fuck?
I don't even know if I've fully processed it yet still. Honestly, both those trades, insane, crazy past 48 hours, and we had to hop on and talk about these trades.
Yeah, so in case you lived under a rock, basically everybody's fucking shook right now. We have the Lakers have traded for Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. The Mavericks got Anthony Davis from them and Max Christie and the 2029 LA Lakers first. And the Jazz get Jalen Hood-Schifino from the Lakers, the 2025 Clippers second rounder, and the 2025 Mavs second rounder as well. So I don't even know where to begin on this.
I know where to begin. Let's do our tradition first. Let's wake us up. Let's get us going.
Yeah, let's get this going. So, sorry, I'm out of it. That's why we need a shot.
Yes, sir.
Tradition, even though there's an emergency pod, we're still going to be doing it, taking a shot until the songs come back, until they make an awesome fucking trades like this someday, hopefully, that will secure their future. Today we got a little bit, I don't even, Danny, what do we have?
We got a mystery. It's just a mystery today for a mystery episode. Let's get it. Bring him back.
Bring him back. Yeah, that was needed. All right.
How do we want to tackle it first? Where do we want to start?
Let's start with some of the rumors we're hearing.
Okay.
About this trade and why
some rumors surrounding the trade. Yeah. So what have we been hearing? What went down?
Start with the Mavs first off. So Luka's been injured most of the season, right? And there's reports coming in that he's pushing 270 pounds. And Lizzo was kind of informing us of different players of the weights from last season. Is the only person that was not a center pretty much that was on the top 10 list or something like that was Kenny Lofton Jr., which we all know was a big guy. And he was the only guard that was close to, Luka's size in that list. So 270, would have been the seventh biggest player this season or something like that, or close to it.
That's weight for 7-footers.
That's weight. And not even Wemby's even close to that weight. Like, he's the biggest man. He's the tallest man in the league.
I think to start off the year, Luka weighed in at 230.
Yeah.
And we are halfway through the year, and he is now, and we got Wemby at 235.
Bro, I don't even weigh close to 270. And I'm not even a freaking pro athlete. Like, god damn.
It's hard to fathom it. Why do you think that's happening? Is it because he's missing time? Is there other factors going on?
I think it's a little bit of both. The fact that he's been missing time, and I think there's a lag. You could see the lack there of, other than the Clippers series last year, like that he does not do anything but play offense. And that's another thing that the GM was talking about, was the fact that he thinks defense wins championships, and that, there is a lack thereof that we talked plenty of times last year about, is the fact that Luka Doncic does not play defense very well at all. And especially for a league now where I think it is true when you look at the Celtics last year of how good that defensive team was in general, with all the guards they had that were defensive guards, and even you had, you guys down low as well. So that's a big deal of it. I also, just losing weight, being sidelined this entire time.
And I think, even looking back to the finals, we know what he does on the offensive side of the ball. He was really just breaking down defensively. Mentally, he was a liability. He was complaining with the refs. He was letting them get to his head. And Brian Windhorst, called him out pretty hard on SportsCenter after, I think it was game 4 or game 5, just saying that Luka's never going to win when he's like this.
Right.
He has to learn from this. And then Windhorst followed up, I think, yesterday and was like, no one in the Mavs organization stood up for Luka once he went on that rant.
No,
which definitely says something. Yeah, I mean, it says something. So,
as Litzo was just bringing up, like Zion weighing 287, kind of a similar situation. I feel like, of just like maintaining a weight has to do with your health, not just you're just rolling a court. Like, it helps quite a bit with your longevity in your career. So
you gotta stay conditioned to stay healthy. They both play a part. They go into each other. his injury he's been out with has been a calf strain, and it's been over a month. And at his age, he should be recovering from that quicker. It seems to be even lagging. I mean, they're hoping he's back before the All-Star break. So it's almost pushing 2 months, which should not be happening with an injury like this.
Right. And there's plenty of athletes you see in the NFL all the time of you don't have to take condition by being on your feet. There's swimming and all this other things. Yep. Even me as a regular human who has knee problems that I've been trying to figure out other ways to stay conditioned and stuff like that. But kind of some other things is just this Mavs, besides Luka's health, kind of just going more down this Mavs road of why they thought it was needed. Another thing came out, the fact that the Mavs approached the Lakers, not the Lakers didn't approach the Mavs. So the Mavs clearly from the beginning wanted to get rid of Luka somehow, but was not public about it, did not share that with Luka, obviously, whatsoever. A lot of big things about it is, one, he was up for a Supermax extension coming up next year, which would have been huge. And so there's, just talks about how they did not want to pay that at all. Now, I saw some bullshit rumors, theories, whatever you want to call them, about how their ownership could have had collusion as well, for the fact that they were trying to possibly tank because of some weird ownership stuff of how they've been trying to get a casino or some gambling thing happening into the arena. This is all rumors, not all conspiracy theories, but it's just the facts that there's ideas of how the ownership has been trying to get a new arena and stuff like this, or trying to move to Austin. So that's just all more conspiracy theories. I'm not going to feed them too much, but just ideas have been put out there as well in the media. Just a shit show. And they're talking about the same GM is the same guy that absolutely lost Nike millions of dollars on Stephen Curry as well, of how he fucked up the presentation for Stephen Curry and is why Stephen Curry was not going to do anything about it. So
Nico Harrison, the GM, essentially just said, defense wins championships. We can win with Anthony Davis, and are saying that we do not want Luka Doncic to be part of our future. He's missing out, as you mentioned, on a 5-year, $345 million Supermax extension. If he signs an extension with the Lakers, he'll be losing out on about $117 million. So they're moving on. They said that, we're done with Luka. We tried, and it's time to look elsewhere.
Now that's everything for pretty much from the Mad standpoint of, going up to the trade. Going into the Lakers side of it, what thoughts come to you on the Lakers side of why they want to get rid of AD? Obviously, it makes sense why they want to get Luka, but
I think, when it comes to the Lakers, it's the Lake Show, it's the bright lights. They always got to have that guy. They got to have a piece for every generation, next opportunity. And Luka is now going to be that guy. He's going to be there for the next 10 years. He's the face of LA. His attitude, his mindset, it'll be tested in LA. But I think that, when they were offered that, right, they thought it was a joke at first, and they got into talking, and they decided, we've had AD for 5-6 years. We got a ring with him. He's still an all NBA player. I mean, he had 40 and 23 in his last game with us, but It's time to move on, time to look in the future. And let's see what Luka and LeBron can do for a couple of years with LeBron still here.
Yeah, it's weird to mention the fact that Luka is a guard, right? And it is very clear among Lakers fans, everything like that, that they really needed a center. And even Anthony Davis spoke out about it this last month, as saying how they want a championship with him at the 4, and him playing the 5 every night is not the way to do it. Says that, next thing you know, he's getting traded to Dallas, where they have 2 solid 5s that he can do just fine next to, but obviously you don't have Luka. Now you just have to rely on Kyrie. Now I look at it for the Lakers is who's in a better position this year and possibly next year, I wouldn't say as well.
I mean,
just the immediate impact of this year, next year, because we do have, it is very, why everybody's been blowing up on this trade is because Luka is 25 years old and AD is 31.
Right.
So there's obviously a big age difference there, but I'm talking about the immediate impact, not even thinking about the future, because you can't predict it that far out, but you can see what this trade impacts now and next season more so.
I think everyone's more focused on Luka going to LA and that impact, but I think people are kind of downplaying who Anthony Davis is right now, playing the best basketball of his career. He's playing alongside Kyrie Irving, who is mature, playing some really good basketball right now. And then, like he said, he plays better as a 4. He now gets a shot to play with Gafford at the 5. And the way Gafford plays, he's going to be down low, blocking shots, getting dunks. So he really lets room for AD to operate. He's kind of more of a stretch 4. And they also have, still have PJ Washington. So that front court just got pretty scary. It'll be interesting to see. Mavs were kind of slipping. Injuries have really hurt them as of late. Kyrie's missed a lot of time. Right. Obviously, Luka hasn't played in a month. So now you're bringing in AD. You're bringing in that defense. That's kind of a thing that they've lacked or needed more of. And so be able to pair him with Gafford down low is really going to help out that team right now.
And I think what's funny is we look at both these guys where they're at in the West right now. One, but injuries have had to deal a big part of it. I'm pretty sure the Lakers are still the 5th seed right now, and then Dallas is
like 8 or 9.
But they're within a few games of each other as well. Yeah. Like the whole entire bottom of the West is. But the one thing that I was just texting you about the other day, before this trade even happened, we were talking about the depth of how much that matters and how much the Celtics had depth last year, which contributed to their finals and everything like that and win the championship. But I feel like both of these teams did not address. They traded superstar for superstar, young for old, which is very true. And then you got, I think you got Maxi Christie out of it as well for the Mavs, which is a good depth piece for them. But like at the end of the day, I don't feel like these two teams made a move to where it's going to help either of them this year whatsoever or next year. I don't think it's big enough move for them to. Now, let's say the Mavs went out and got AD. Acquired with Luka. Let's say the Lakers kept AD and got Luka. Now that's a whole different story. I think that could have been a very big deal to where those two guys on the team together, along with what they already have on both those teams, could have helped them quite possibly make a run in this West. But these trade superstars, 2 superstars that are both injured right now, to say the least, as well. I'm much just like, yeah, you have Luka for years to come if he gets his shit figured out. That's another thing to deal with, but I still like this trade does not make sense in the immediate future. I think everybody's just so drawn in the fact of how young Luka is and how Luka's an international superstar, which he is. I'm not going to deny that. He fucked up my team last year. I'll give him his creds. But these teams still have other needs, and I'm not sure how they're going to address them.
Yeah, and the Mavs honestly should have asked for more. The fact that the Lakers were able to keep AR and Dalton Connect and only give away 1 first-round pick is surprising for a trade of that caliber, getting Luka Doncic.
Rob Pelinka had to get something underneath the table.
Yeah, it's...
I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I will say from the basketball side of it, I am going to miss seeing Luka and Kyrie in the backcourt together. Probably one of the most skilled offensive backcourts we've seen in a long time. But
yeah, and it's ironic. You could have also, included Kyrie in the package to get back with his old team, LeBron. I'm not sure if there was like discussions with Kyrie or not or whatsoever or anything like that. But I think that's the other big thing you have to look at now is LeBron's done with either. He only has a max that next year. Like, there's no way he stays for another 2 or 3 years, in my opinion. Is now you trade away a first-round pick. You trade away one of your young guys. Actually, I like Max Christie coming up a lot this year, actually. But you trade away that, and now you just have to build this team around Luka with nothing but free agents, pretty much, because they don't have draft capital to even get a young guy either. So I don't know what the Lakers. They say they're set for the future, but there's so many holes you need to fill. You need to fill a hole when LeBron's gone. You can't do that through all free agents. Not in this NBA, at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough look.
Yeah, I think they were focused on getting that face of the franchise, and that's what they got. Now they got to figure out how to build around him. One thing there's a lot of rumors about with Nico Harrison at his press conferences with Jason Kidd is saying that Jason Kidd had no idea about any of it until it had already happened. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's right. I mean, we come from a weird spot where we saw Pete Carroll be so involved with John Schneider and the Seahawks. It's very different when it comes to basketball in the first place, but I still think that relationship needs to be there between your GM and your head coach. I know your GM makes all the moves and they have the upper saying at the end of the day, but it shows a lot to culture when your head coach and GM are on the same page. Especially, I feel like you hire a head coach to help coach a team that you think is winnable. So why would you go out and get guys that you don't think your coach wants to think is coachable or going to be able to think it's a good idea? So I think that's a bad move by Nico.
Yeah, I think it's a sense of trust.
Yeah.
So that definitely hurts him.
Yeah.
Michael, what are your thoughts on this trade?
And you've been writing down a lot of stuff over there, so.
Oh, no, it's all good. No, I think this trade is just kind of wild. People have been going down. I've been trying to look up like the biggest in-season trades that the NBA has had, and there hasn't been much. This is definitely one of the, if not the biggest in-season trade. I mean, you're trading an All-NBA player from the year before for another All-NBA player for the year before mid-season, which is just unheard of in this day and age. Yeah. Pretty much unheard of in general. Like, I only think the only few mid-season trades of this caliber were Melo to the Knicks and Pau Gasol to the Lakers back in the early 2010s. So I just think the whole aspect of this trade is just, it's so hard to just grasp because something like this has never happened before, which I think is just crazy how it all kind of unfolded. And the fact that everyone's saying that no one knew about this is also kind of crazy. The fact that LeBron didn't know about this, being LeBron James, who is pretty much the Adam Silver is the commissioner yet, but LeBron James controls the NBA.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that he did not know about having a top 5 player come to his team, it's just, I think it's kind of absurd that he couldn't even know about that. I think this whole thing is just so crazy to just even comprehend. I think the Mavs going out to only the Lakers is weird, and I think the Mavs offering Luka at the straight up lost a lot of credibility and leverage that they had to get more out of Luka. Like, yes, they still got an all-NBA player and an all-defensive player in AD. That's not any, like, bag of chips.
Yeah.
But the fact that they couldn't get any more with it, because AD, yes, he has injury history, and yes, he's on the older side. He's on the wrong side of 30. Yep. But the fact that you couldn't get, like JD said, a Connect or a Reeves, as well as a couple of verses, because they came out and offered Luka first. So it's like, oh, you already want to get, this is showing me that you want to get rid of Luka Doncic. I'm not going to give you as much as I want to give you because I know you're going to take lesser, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the Mavs shot themselves in the foot with that, because it's
absolutely,
when you're trying to get rid of a superstar, you're going to try to get the most value. Like Mikal Bridges this offseason got 5 first-round picks, and now he's like a role player on the Knicks. He's still a good player, but he's not a Luka Doncic-esque player, and he got 5 first-round picks. And the Mavs only getting 1 first-rounder in like 4 or 5 years, but then also AD, who's going to be retired probably in 4 or 5 years. I think it's wild. I get what the Mavs are doing because they're betting against Luka.
Yeah.
They're betting against that he won't go and, condition and still just kind of be lazy and just let his skill work over his work ethic. But now you put Luka with my GOAT, LeBron, for at least a year, maybe another year, and just kind of have LeBron mentor him and show him how to be like an NBA superstar. You put him in a big market now where the lights are going to be on him 24/7. You saw that with Cat this year going from Minnesota, getting traded from Minnesota from a team that he like coveted and thought was going to go far with, to now MSG, and he's putting up a career year. It's like, you don't think Luka's going to do the same thing where now he's even a bigger stage. LA, main conglomerate, supermarket, Hollywood, and he's not going to have a little bit of a more chip on his shoulder to prove that he should be the guy. And honestly, I think he will be the guy. This year, I don't think anything's going to happen from it.
Yeah,
because Luka can't recover from a calf injury, which I get is worrisome. It takes a month for you to get over a calf injury at the age of 25 with the medical tools that the NBA has right now.
KD literally did it this season in 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, and KD's so much older. Yeah,
35, 36.
Exactly. And if you're 25 with all the training facilities and technology that they have to get people healthy in the NBA, and it takes you a month and a half, I get where that concern is coming from, where the Mavs don't want to put all their money into that.
Yeah.
But I think they shot themselves in the foot by only offering to the Lakers and two, showing that he was on the trade market so early and then committing to the first deal. Because imagine what he could have gotten if he went somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was imagining if he could pair up with Yoke in Denver. Oh my God, that'd be so sick. I know Luka would like it. I know Yoke would like it.
Yeah,
and I know
two biggest international superstars like in one spot.
No, Denver would probably give up Jamal, MPJ, all our young guys, Christian Brown, just to get him. But now what the Mavs have, an old Kyrie, an old Klay Thompson, and
old
AD. Yeah, so
yeah.
I think
a young Max Christie.
But a young Max Christie.
And it's 2029 first.
He could be the turning point. I don't know. I think this trade, it was just so wild by how it happened, when it happened, and the people involved. It's just, we haven't seen anything like this. So props to the NBA. They're going to get their viewerships up some way or another, because this is in season right as the Super Bowl is ending. People are going to want to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how it plays out. February 25th, that's when the Mavs play the Lakers. So maybe AD and Luka are healthy back. Playing,
One thing to go, based on what you're saying, a few things to know is, one, Luka bought a $15 million house in Dallas last week, which kind of sucks. He's obviously devastated about that. Two, it is a note to notice that Mark Cuban is not the majority owner of the Dallas Mavericks anymore, and he himself said he was shocked and said he would not allow that trade to happen in the first place because he's a minority owner now. So it kind of goes to like that whole where the ownership group is about this Dallas like franchise, and I just don't feel like they're committed, and I don't know where they're going with it. It honestly feels kind of like a Mariner situation. That's a whole other fucking story. But it's weird. And then also to know, like, during the trade to Los Angeles, he lost $117 million because of the trade as well. So, and then one thing talking about KD was talking about today is like who's untouchable, like nobody at that point now. Like,
yeah, you kind of got to think about it, because it's like everyone would think like Luka was untouchable. Mm-hmm. That's what the whole entire world thought until Saturday night. So now you really got to think.
They spent so long building around him.
Yeah.
They got rid of Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in Kyrie. They got rid of Kristaps. And now they're both like leading the East pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you bring in Kyrie. You bring in Gafford in the mid-season trade last year.
Bring
Clay this year. Yeah. It's like you did so much time to build around him and then just let him go and
send him to the winds. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I saw a tweet that was, if Jason Tatum got traded for AD on this Saturday night, everyone would arrest DC because it's Jason Tatum. And that's no hate on Jason Tatum. It's just like, actually, I just don't people like Jason Tatum. But it's just like Luka is such a different player in the eyes of like, that guy is going to be the staple of Dallas. Like, they're going to build a statue of him to now.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone in the NBA is packing up their bags because now they know that no matter how good they are, no matter how like beloved they are by the organization, they could be traded on a random Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I would like to think that Yoke is untouchable, but now with all this happening, I don't know. I would like to think Shai and Giannis were, but I mean, if they request a trade, or not even if they request a trade, if anything happens, Sam Presti loves to get his first round picks. So
yeah, I do think I would not put Nico with the rest of the league. I think like we talk about the ownership, talk about the GM. It's very different on GM to GM basis and ownership differences as well. Obviously, talk about the big markets. Even Giannis said today, he's like, hell, I'd love to see, Jokic go to New York or something like that is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, put all the big guys in big markets. I'm like, well, first off, you're not a big market, Giannis, so just shut your ass up. Like, if you want to stay in Milwaukee.
Getting everyone terrified.
Milwaukee's not LA. It's not New York. It's not Miami. Mm-hmm. I would not. If you're going to say that, I would not be saying that. If you want to stay in Milwaukee, or maybe that's a slight cry for help. Who knows?
Yes,
but especially because they're ass handed tonight to the Thunder. But I mean, they weren't even playing. But just kind of funny to see. I don't know.
It's going to be very cool, and it's going to be very interesting for the rest of the year to see how this plays out and years forward.
Which leads us to a second massive trade that happened that honestly did not get enough love because of what happened on Saturday night, in my opinion. And it's very different situation as well, in my opinion. But De'Aaron Fox, as we learned last week, asked to pretty much be traded. He said specifically he kind of wants to go to San Antonio. And so he got what he asked for. And so this trade involved the Spurs getting De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. Kings got Zach LaVine, City Cisco, and 3 first-round picks, including 2025 Charlotte, 2027 San Antonio Spurs pick, 2031 Minnesota's first-round pick as well, and 3 second-round picks with 25 Chicago's, 28 Denver's, and 2028 owned back from San Antonio. And the Bulls get Zach Collins from the Spurs, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick via San Antonio. So lots to unfold there. Denny?
It's, we're big Kings fans here. So it's painful to see it happen. It all stems from Mike Brown. Now this, everyone kind of rumors and talks about that video of them talking at practice right before Mike Brown got canned of what he was telling Fox. And some people were saying he was telling Fox to get out. Get out of Sacktown. Now you look, now you look a month later and he is in San Antonio. The Spurs completely won this trade. You're getting a guy in his prime right now, putting him with a guy who's rising very quickly in Wembanyama. And you kept Stephon Castle, your rookie point guard, who is a bigger guard, 6'6", so he can now play alongside De'Aaron Fox, once CP3 is out of there. And in return, the Kings are reuniting LaVine with DeMar, which we've already seen before in Chicago, and did not work the first time.
Except now, like you said, they got
an upgrade. Yeah.
So that's an upgrade for sure. I mean, it was kind of funny because we talked about when Mike Brown got canned is how there's already other people talking about the ownership there. Like the Nuggets head coach, he said, he got fired there too. And obviously he's been a good coach and got a finals. So it's not necessarily Mike Brown's fault. But Dick Christie did go on a good run as soon as filling in as interim.
Yep.
So, I mean, that has something. And they're doing good. They won 9 of their last 10 after the Mike Brown firing. They were on the right direction. And then Fox just said, I'm fucking done. And, he also just got snubbed from the All-Star, which I think might have to do a little bit of it. Not going to lie. Him and Sabonis got snubbed from the All-Star. And kind of talking about those big markets. And I think that matters quite a bit here, actually. And San Antonio is considering a big market now just because of Wemby as well. And also the millions of success they've had before. So, I don't know. I just it's weird to unfold, but I do think the Spurs are the biggest winner of this trade completely. It's kind of wild to see how many picks the Kings actually got. And then you look at the value of the Luka trade out of that too. So it's kind of wild to see, but
yeah. And looking at a team standpoint now for the Kings, it really is going to put a lot of pressure on Malik Monk. He's going to have to be the primary ball handler now, the facilitator, because LaVine and DeRozan, we know them. They're both scorers. They're looking for their shot. So Monk's going to have to get comfortable now in that kind of facilitation mode. But he's been playing really well since he stepped in the starting lineup. But also sad to see that Kentucky duo gone now. That was a sick backcourt. Some tough backcourts that are being broken up. Brutal.
It's horrible.
But it's a business, I guess. It's a business these days. That's how it goes.
And obviously Sabonis didn't want to see this. Like he posted for all 3 of his guys that got traded today. It's like, and mostly with Fox, they were doing something special down there. They were putting up numbers. There's still something wrong with the team. I'm not sure exactly what it is because they just can't finish on a lot of games. They've had some big games where they just haven't finished out. But they're like, you see Sabonis had 20 fucking rebounds and still 28 points. So like what more could you do? And De'Aaron Fox also averaging, so many steals a game and averaging almost 25 points a game as well. And, then you get snubbed from the All-Star and then right after that is when he requested trade, which I don't think many people talked about. But that's like 2 years in a row, I'm pretty sure, for him. Not to mention Sabonis already got snubbed too, but we'll use All-Star subs on a different episode.
Yeah, well, we're going to rant about that later.
Yeah, but it's kind of wild to see. And also the Kings getting back Zach LaVine is kind of wild. Like you said, just a different city location for an old Bulls duo.
Yep.
That were pretty good together. But now
I love that duo. Yeah.
Now I don't know where Zach LaVine's role goes now because he was just absolutely, his usage percentage was way up in Chicago.
The ball was only in his hands, in Chicago. So especially when DeRozan was out.
He can't do that with DeMar now.
No, they're going to have to share the rock.
And he can't do that with Sabonis down low either. And, still got Keegan Murray down low or on the wing and stuff. So he has more to work with, but how productive is he without, having the ball in his hands all the time? So we'll see what happens there.
And I think it's funny. I saw something that he was actually going to sign there in 2017. and then the Bulls matched the offer. So then he went to Chicago. Currently, right now, the Kings are in 10th. The Spurs are in 12th. With this trade, does this do anything for either team in terms of a playoff push towards the end of the season?
Yeah. The Spurs aren't that far behind, and I think that just kind of boosted the Spurs, rebuild a lot faster than they thought it would be, especially now having Wemby and now having Stephon Castle, who's getting his shit figured out, having Chris Paul to guide all these young guys, and De'Aaron Fox, who's absolutely going to destroy it. Devin Vassell. They got some depth on this team, and they've been winning some big games lately too. So
yeah, I mean, we've seen, Wemby's been going crazy. Now you have Fox.
100% see the Spurs making it up into the play-in now for sure.
Yeah.
Will they be successful in the play-in? Will they make it far in the playoffs? I don't know about that quite yet. I mean, we'll see there. But and then as far as the Kings, I don't know how you just break off the guy who's been in your franchise since he was 19 years old and just expect to bounce back with Zach LaVine. I don't know. There's no way. I feel bad for Sabonis more than anybody out of all this. It's just like he's been working his ass off. And I don't know.
Such a fun duo to see too.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're going to have to change up their whole offensive scheme now. So much of it was through De'Aaron Fox. And I mean, Malik Monk, he's a hooper, but he's not De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
So it's just going to have to be a lot of adjustments for that team. But like you were saying with the Spurs, we've talked about Fox. He's the 2023 Clutch Player of the Year. So you're bringing in that presence, especially late in games. They've had a lot of close games. So just being able to have that guy is going to really help them moving forward.
Talking about the Bulls real quick, I'm kind of looking at this, and Bulls kind of got fucked, I feel like, on this deal a little bit.
I don't even know who the Bulls got.
They got Zach Collins, former Zag, love him. Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own pick back from San Antonio for 2025.
Just the one pick?
Just the one pick for Zach LaVine. And they gave, I'm not sure if they gave any picks. Oh, yeah, 2025.
Didn't the Jazz got in there?
I think the Jazz got on the
Jazz got on the other.
Oh, was that the other one?
The other
trade. Yeah, just the most random shit.
I think first round pick was when they traded for DeMar.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of funny that DeMar is on the Kings.
That DeMar's on the Kings, and they have Zach LaVine, and they didn't give up shit for it. All they got was Kevin Huerter. Yeah.
They didn't. I would have thought Trey Jones, being a point guard, would go to the Kings.
Yeah.
Because they kind of need one. But
yeah, it's kind of wild.
I think the Bulls are just going to try to tank for the rest of the year and hopefully get Cooper Flag. I think the Kings are going to fall out of the play-in.
Where are they at right now?
They're 10.
Where are the Bulls at right now?
Bulls are
also 10th,
but they are not even close to 500. Yeah, and I think Zach LaVine reminds me a lot of the Wizards, Bradley Beal, back in Bradley Beal's prime, where he can get a bucket but not really do anything else, and every team that he's on is kind of just purgatory.
Yeah, Zach LaVine's been a shooter, but also Zach LaVine should be play way more in the paint than he does, in my opinion. He takes way too many shots from the perimeter. Yeah. But I think that's what the difference between him and Bradley Beal is. Bradley Beal is literally a guard, and Zach LaVine tries to be a guard, and he really isn't.
No, he's not. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think this Kings team is just kind of weird now, honestly.
You break up so much chemistry. You fire your coach of the year 2 years ago. You get rid of your franchise guy outside of Sabonis, I guess. Well, I mean, no, De'Aaron Fox was the franchise guy. I'm not even going to put Sabonis in there because they traded for him later on, but I don't know. After you traded Halliburton to get Sabonis in the first place as well to help out De'Aaron Fox, because you can't have Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox in the same team, I feel like. But
no, yeah, I don't know what the Kings are doing. I don't know. They finally got a playoff appearance, and then they're just kind of blowing it up again.
And they got to the 4th seed like 2 years ago, didn't they?
Yeah,
they're like the 3rd or 4th.
3 or 4, yeah. And they lost first round of the Warriors,
and everybody was so surprised. And it was like, what the fuck? And I was like, hell yeah. And then I was rooting for them last year, and they shit the bed.
Yeah.
And then just doing worse this year.
They're going to be worse this year. I think the Spurs got so much better. I always think about these trades like this. Wemby's generational. Have you seen those Bucks highlights from Wemby the other day? It's crazy what he can do as a 7'4", 20-year-old. And when I see these trades, I think the Last Dance documentary of like the main superstar Wemby talking in like 30 years and talking about like his success, and then all of a sudden like they say they need one more piece, and then they're getting all of, like the microphone ready and the interview chair ready, and that's when De'Aaron Fox sits down in the next episode. That's how I feel like with this trade is. I feel like De'Aaron Fox can really set up this team for success within the next 5 to 10 years to really like jetpack their way up to the top of the Western Conference to be a part of those Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves teams, Rockets teams, where it's like they are now a mainstay on the top, because I think this trade with De'Aaron Fox, they're going to need to get more talent around them. But I think they got their all-NBA guy and Victor Wembanyama. I think De'Aaron Fox can be a really good like Robin to that. And now that he has Chris Paul mentoring him for at least this year too, he can get even better. And then there's the development of Stephen Castle.
Yeah.
Vassell, they'll probably have to get one more guy, but I think this trade is going to be great for the Spurs in the long term.
Oh, 100%. Spurs barely give up anything, I feel like.
No.
2027 first rounder to the Kings. They gave the Bulls their pick back. And then, obviously, De'Aaron Fox is a loss, but...
Yeah, from a basketball standpoint, in an out game, you need someone who can score from the outside. You need someone who can score from the inside. Now,
and De'Aaron Fox's
threats everywhere on the floor,
bro. And his defensive game is so underrated.
And yeah, we don't talk about enough about his defense.
He's a steal machine. Like, he's underrated for that. Last year, he was second in the league behind Shea in steals per game, and he's doing really good this season until the last couple of weeks he's gone down. But still, he's so underrated. Completely. Not Wemby going to be doing everything by himself on the floor. De'Aaron Fox is going to be down in the trenches with him. I don't know.
And we mentioned Stephon Castle being a bigger guard, which helps with his defense as well. So I think this team can become a really strong defensive team. Turn defense into offense. It's going to make it scary, especially when Wemby's pulling up from the logo 4 or 5 times a night. And then blocking Giannis 3 times. It's crazy.
Okay.
Wow.
Before we end this, just because it's Trade Central, or not necessarily the Trade Central episode, but where does these go down? Maybe mainly the Luka one of like some of the biggest trades you've seen in the NBA. More in this last era for sure, but just in general.
I think this is probably the biggest one I've seen in this last era, simply for I got 3 reasons. So, 2 to 3. One is that it's mid-season, which rarely ever happens. Usually all these big trades are off-seasons trades. 2, they're usually off-season trades for people who want to leave. Mm-hmm. So it's like all these big trades are for players that are wanting out. And so the teams are kind of like have to force their hand because they have to just cooperate and try to get the highest value. And then 3, the fact that it's Luka Doncic going to the Lakers. The fact that it's just the Lakers organization that gone from Jerry and Wilt to Kareem and Magic to Kobe and Shaq to LeBron and to AD to now Luka as the main like star of their team, star of their franchise.
I would argue Kobe and Paul.
Yeah, and Kobe and Paul. Wow, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They always had just a face and like the face of like a top 5 talent. I think this trade will probably go down as one of the biggest, if not the biggest trades in like recent memory, NBA history. I think another big trade that goes down in just recent memory for completely different reasons is Ray Allen and KG going to Boston, simply because that's how
I was also thinking about that.
That's how it started the super teams, by not just developing a super team, but you can trade for a super team. Mm-hmm. I think that was a big one, but just
it didn't work out.
Yeah, true. But just this year. Well, it did for the Celtics, and then when they went to the Nets, that's when it did.
Yeah.
But sheer shock factor, timing, the people who were traded and the teams traded, this is going to go down for me as one of the biggest, if not the biggest trades in NBA history so far.
Yeah. Denny?
It's got to be up there. Like what Michael was saying, just having it happen halfway through a season, where teams are, at whatever point they are in the season, wherever they are in the standings, you usually want to keep that momentum, keep that chemistry, and to just essentially just blow it all up. It's crazy. I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to say it again now. I'm still processing this. It's fucking crazy. Yeah.
I mean, half the reason we hopped on here in general is because of the momentum of what this has, everything like that. I'll give you the fact that it being an in-season trade is like one of the biggest I've ever seen in season, which is massive. Only weird thing is 2 guys are not healthy currently, which is also weird to see because it's like, we get to see De'Aaron Fox probably play tomorrow night, or tomorrow night or the night after.
Yeah.
But so that'll be interesting to see. Also, just like it's 2 superstars in a trade. Like you could make the argument that AD he wasn't the top MVP candidate to start the season. Well, we said on the pod a lot, but he's older and Luka's younger. Then I go back to obviously my favorite trade of all time has got to be the Paul George trade. But it wasn't in season. It was off season. But Paul George for Shea, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks in a pick swap. Still, I mean, you got to take in the fact that they got Kawhi out of the deal too because of it. But still, one of the most, it just goes down to one of the worst trades ever. But also, it's not the fact that you knew Shea was going to be who he is today. So that's different. But the fact that you already have production from AD, you already have production from Luka, except you already have a championship out of AD. You don't have one out of Luka yet. But I don't know. I mean, the AD wasn't until he was like, what, 28?
Yeah, that was bubble year, so 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, 28, 27.
Yeah. So yeah, so honestly, around pretty close to this Luka age. So actually, see
what happens.
Yeah,
I'm very curious.
Yeah, and then AD, he's never finished with an MVP, has he? No. So he's never finished an MVP. He's gotten close many times. He has a championship. Luka has 4 or 5 All NBA All Stars. 5.
I think it's 5. Yeah.
Plus Rookie of the Year award. So you look at their accolades just hand in hand. Defensive Player of the Year.
He has not won one.
He's not, but he should. Wow. I mean, he could have over Rudy Gobert last year, in my opinion. But
that's right.
In at least multiple years, even though he didn't win. But yeah, so I guess the question comes to as well is how long is AD's career going to be? He's not always healthy, but he's only 31. I'm not saying he's going to be LeBron by any means and go till he's 40, 41, 42. I don't think anybody in this league could do that right now. But, if the Mavs get 4 or 5 good years out of him, and I think the Mavs are a lot closer to just acquiring at least 1 or 2 people, and they could be a contender in this West, versus I think the Lakers need multiple things that they can't trade for right now, in my opinion, to even get close to that in the next couple of years. So if the Mavs can win in the next 2, maybe 3 years, then I would say it's worth it.
Yeah, like what Nico Harrison said, his vision of long term is 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
He said, what did he say? 10 years, he's going to be buried. So yeah, 7 will be a stretch with AD.
So I would say 4 to 5, not 5 to 7.
Yeah. And AD's got to stay healthy. I mean, we've seen way too many times he goes down. He's out for half, 3/4 of the season. But I mean, past couple of seasons, he has been healthy.
Yeah.
And with that production, it's been good for you in fantasy this year.
Yeah, big time. Even though he's no, we're not getting to fantasy. Give Litzo Alvin Thompson. But anyways, anything else you guys want to add before? I mean, we'll be back pretty soon here with more stuff.
We'll be back next week to review the rest of Trade Central. We're still waiting on Jimmy Butler.
I'm waiting on Jimmy Butler in fantasy too.
Yeah, and we'll talk All-Star reserves. Got a couple snubs on both sides that we will need to discuss.
Or you talked about 2 of them today.
Yeah, we did. We mentioned a couple. So and there's a couple more. But we had to hop on and talk about this shit. The NBA is back, man.
NBA is so back.
Yeah. Like Michael said, Super Bowl this Sunday. So NBA viewership, I think everyone wants to tune in now and see how these things go.
Yeah, it'll be always goes up around All-Star.
Yeah. So wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hell of a time.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Butler's the biggest one left, we think. I mean, obviously we didn't even expect this fucking trade to happen. No. Any other guys you want to keep your eye out there?
I don't think a particular guy. I just heard today that Shams said that the Warriors have called in about every single All-Star under the earth.
I've heard that as well. There's talks about possibly KD back to the Dubs, but I don't I don't think the Suns want to do that at all.
The Suns want to do that.
No, Danny doesn't want to do that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's smart.
Specific because it was just any All-Star. So
I think they're literally they sound a little too desperate.
Yeah, exactly.
In my opinion, and
they will oversell at this point if they do. So
they're gonna 100%. I feel like if they get anybody, they're just gonna oversell it, and then they're probably not even gonna stay for the Warriors for 3 to 4 years, even. So I don't even know. Depends on where you go, but
seriously,
I don't think the Warriors want Jimmy B, though. I don't think they're gonna go for him.
No.
But there sound like they'll take almost anybody else that's an All-Star. So, and that's actually kind of huge because All-Star Weekend coming up in the Bay in a couple of weeks here as well.
That's right.
So yeah, that'll be pretty big. So everybody will be there. So, but that's right after the trade deadline, isn't it?
Yep.
So
trade deadline this Thursday, February 6th.
Yep.
And then we will be back to it next week to review the rest. Hopefully we got a couple more big trades, and then we're going to talk All-Star reserves.
Yup. But for now,
thank you for tuning in. Yes, sir. We appreciate you all. Follow all of our socials. We will keep posting stuff and keep sending us love.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Until next time. Peace.
Peace.